right, thank you so much, Asian Heritage. Thank you for that warm welcome, and thank you for the Japanese Cultural Association for facilitating this beautiful space.
Welcome, Joseph. We have a tough act to follow. I'm just really grateful and honored to share the stage with everyone else, and I'm also very excited to welcome Joseph, our guest. I had the opportunity to see a little bit of the preview of the Mambuhay, the new musical, Filipino musical, at the Fringe Festival, and I was really excited. I brought my family, I brought my kids to it, and we were all pumped to see it, and can't wait to see the new show. So I'm hoping maybe we would just start, maybe talk a little bit about yourself and maybe how this musical came about.
Sure. So, as the bio read, I've been a musical theater professional for over 26 years, singer, dancer, actor. And the musical actually came about in 2011 when I was living in Toronto for 9 years, pursuing a career in musical theater. And I had landed a contract being part of the first ever Filipinx web series called Prison Dancer by Carmen de Jesus and Romeo Candido, and who later became my mentor. Romeo Candido is a high school dropout that is dominating the world of film in Toronto right now as a Filipino director, creator. And being on that set, looking at around all the different characters and all being Filipinx, I was truly inspired, and I thought, is this even allowed? You know, I remember leaving that contract being like, how did that even happen? How was this even supported? My whole life I was auditioning for roles of color. I played many Puerto Rican roles. I played Vietnamese, I played Chinese, I played Japanese. I played everything but Filipino until that one moment in 2011. So I was hoping for this show to get on Broadway. So I was waiting, impatiently for probably 6 years, hoping that I would get my dream to perform there one day. Never happened. Parents got sick in 2015, and I left my Toronto career and moved back to take care of my parents with zero plan. And then I realized that using that kind of trauma of watching your parents decline, I didn't want to go into a depression, and I wanted to do something. I wanted to become my best self before they left. And so I decided, well, what's my pipe dream? And my pipe dream has always been to create my own musical, to perform on Broadway, which eventually changed into creating a musical for Broadway in New York City. And so I played pretend, opened up my laptop and called it the Filipino Musical, and just started imagining and mind dumping on a blank Word document. And that same year, Rainbow Stage, which is a 70-year institution in the heart of Kildonan Park, it's the largest and longest running outdoor theater company in all of Canada, in Winnipeg. I've performed in 15 musicals there, so they've been a huge support to my career, my education, my upbringing in the arts, and I've never played a Filipino. And so I had met with the artistic director, the new one, Carson Natras, and he opened up a meeting with all artists in Winnipeg, whether you're working backstage or as a performer, to share your hopes and dreams in theater. And so I went there, and I just kind of wanted to tell him that I was a little bit exhausted auditioning for roles that were never meant for me, but that I had something that I was doing for fun under wraps. Mm-hmm. And as someone with zero training or post-secondary in writing or lyrics or composing, I was playing pretend. And I had met up with a friend who loved to play around in GarageBand, and we would go over to his place and I would sing songs and he would put backing tracks to them, and it was truly just playing pretend. When he told me what I was working on, I started articulating the grand vision of it, that the blue sky dream was to amplify the Filipinx community in Winnipeg, which has the highest population per capita in this city. And growing up in singing competition culture, I wanted to amplify the amazing talent that has never been seen on the main stages in this city. And by that point, something clicked. He resonated with the vision, knew it was something he needed to support, and it's never stopped since 2017. And so I'm still living in the dream. This summer, we're having our Canadian premiere at Rainbow Stage as part of the season next to Disney's Mary Poppins. I had just completed 3 weeks of auditions. I received 175 videos from Filipinx artists from Vancouver all the way to Toronto. And I received about 100 submissions live from Winnipeg from Filipinx artists. So I watched them audition as dancers, singers, and actors, and we could only cast 22 spots in the actual cast, which is actually quite a large cast for a musical. And typically at Rainbow Stage, the first show of the season is the smaller show, and then the Mary Poppins is the big show. But because of the allies that I have in this institution, I just keep thinking blue sky dreams, and they're doing everything in their power to raise the funds to get the vision complete to my liking. So it's been such an incredible ride so far, and it will have like 20 show run in this summer from June 26th, shameless plug, June 26th to July 14th. And you know, my mom actually had passed away last year, so the show is called Mabuhay, which means long live in Tagalog language. And the reason why it's split with the dash Mabuhay because it means mother in life. And I was a true mama's boy. And I was blessed with parents that supported my love for the arts and never gave me any hurdles. They were immigrants. They came here in '81. My mom had to redo her education degree and then ended up teaching, ending her career at Gordon Bell when she had a stroke there after 25 years. And my father was a little bit of a rebel. He was a pastor, and so I was a pastor's son, and he kind of got excommunicated by the Archbishop of Canada because he had children and was quite defiant with the system here and never really could work. He tried working at 2 caretaking jobs and at a school, but suffered 2 heart attacks in his early 40s because of the amount of stress that this country had put on him and to support 4 kids at that time. And I was the 5th child out of 6 and first Canadian born, and so he never worked. He was always afraid that if he worked, he would get another heart attack. So my mom was the breadwinner and took care of 6 kids, and they never gave me a hurdle. So essentially this musical is paying homage to their belief in me and in the arts.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that story. That's a really powerful story. I guess one of the questions I have, because I know how you talked about your mom and how instrumental she was in supporting you in your journey. I know for many Asian parents, I know for my mom even, I got into education, but there was always a sense that, they see us in a certain role. And I wonder what would be your advice to those like us, I would say, that, maybe their parents are not as supportive for their kids to go into the arts. Because as Asians and as Filipinos, we want to do well. We want to respect, we want to honor our parents. That's a huge thing for many of us. Mm-hmm. But then also finding that balance that this is what I want to do. Because actually I'm going through that now with my own daughter who's going to high school next year and asking about the different high schools she's going to go. So I know I have my own idea of what I would like her to do, but it's always a balance because I want her to also be her own self. And so I'm just wondering, what advice would you give to those that maybe want to get into the arts but may not have the support of their parents?
Life is too short. Live your own truth. Because at the end of the day, no one owns you, not even your parents. And I think that it's a two-way street. You learn from your parents, and they also learn from you. And I think that's the beauty of the younger generation. They have a different perspective. They're growing up in a different time. And so it has to be a shared experience of communication. And if you don't have that support, it doesn't mean that you won't get it later. I think that it's about finding that commonality between both parties.
Very true. I know you had something that you wanted to share. Are you open to do that now?
Sure.
Yeah.
So in musical theater writing, it's a little different. I will be reading, it's so out of context, but I'll be reading lyrics to a song that I wrote called Perfect. And essentially the musical Mabuhay is set in a fictional singing competition called Star in the Rise. It's a branded, popular Filipino, like X Factor American Idol, that flew to Winnipeg to find the Filipinx talent here because of the amount of Filipinos that reside here. And the auditions are happening at Rainbow Stage, so it's about, it's a Filipinx story that is local. So I'm not only amplifying the Filipinx community, I'm amplifying the Winnipeg arts community and trying to get it on the international stage on Broadway as being the first Broadway musical. So the show is centered around three young characters named Selena, Honey, and David. And I chose three because I wanted to comment on three important subject matters in my community. I want to address for Honey Mae Dizon. She is a dark-skinned girl that is poor and has 5 siblings, and her dad has passed away. Mother works for a wealthy family and is raised by her grandmother, her Lola, and doesn't have like the conventional commercial looks to make it in the Philippines. So she has a bigger body, dark skin, but sings like Whitney Houston. And then the second character is David, and he's the son of a pastor, and he's a perfect son that could do no wrong, gets A's all across the board at school, and then finds out that he's a homosexual and then gets booted out of his house. And so he's entering the competition to recommunicate with his family. And Selena is presented as the villain of the show. She lives in the Lindenwood. She has fair skin. She's Filipina Ariana Grande or Taylor Swift, and is a pop princess. And she cares about TikTok, she cares about followers, she cares about her body, she cares about her looks, and it is driven by her stage mom, Gloria, who is a failed actor that is putting all her dreams and pressure in Selena. So I'm glad that you're enjoying the descriptions, because it is a comedic, dramatic musical. So, and so there's 2 fun hosts named Zach and Bea. They're kind of caricatures of Filipino culture. So one of them is an ex-boxing champion like Manny Pacquiao, and the other one's an ex-beauty queen like Katrina Gray and Pia Wurtzbach. And if you don't know, Philippines is one of the top powerhouse pageant countries in the world. So I'm gonna read the stage directions, and I'm gonna try to do some voices. I'm not gonna go full out. I'm not so comfortable right now doing dancing or singing in front of this crowd. But my whole point is about the clarity. Yeah, Fortunato had proposed, and I was like, not today, I'm not warm. Yeah. So what had happened before this scene is that it's Think American Idol, where they go into flashbacks of some of the contestants' backstories. So what we had just seen is young Selena fighting with her mom and dad, or her mom and dad are fighting, and they end up getting a divorce because the mother has been away selfishly pursuing her narcissistic career as an actor and leaving the dad at home. And the young Selena is unfortunately in the middle of all that fighting. And so once that clip is shown, we go back to the Star on the Rise show. And the host names are Bea and Zach. Enter Bea and Zach as we return to the Star on the Rise competition stage. Kawawa naman si Selena, Diyos ko! I feel bad too, but you know, as they say, a beautiful diamond can only form when it's under a lot of pressure. Tama, which is why Selena has been shining bright throughout this whole competition. That's right, Zach. So here to sing the song Perfect, a song chosen by our judge Bolina, our beautiful princess of pop, Selena Divina Molina. The music of Perfect starts. Selena struts down center stage with 10 hot backup dancers. These are the lyrics. So as she's singing, the backup dancers who can also sing are backup singing as well with her. So it's gonna be a little tricky to bounce back and forth. So as I'm directing this show, I've cast a really talented artist, and I want her to portray a sort of Britney Spears type of singing style where it's manufactured. She doesn't necessarily have the talent, but it's what TikTok lovers are eating up these days. Whereas the contrast to this character is Honey Mae, who actually has the real talent, but not necessarily the commercial looks that the industry wants to bite. So here we go. You wanna be perfect? Too perfect, you can never be fat. Not that. Do you want to be famous? Why not want to be outrageous, contagious? Historically speaking, Filipinos are freaking. All the way to China, India, it's viral, it's leaking. Actors, singers, and politicians lining up like little sheep around the estheticians. Mama always yells at me and tells me I'm a felony, like ba ba, black sheep, have you any wool? Your tummy tucks and lip injections make you beautiful. Dance break. You can never say this. No ma'am, you can never do that. Hot damn, do you want to be rich? I wish, hanging with upper class. Yes. Make my skin lighter, little more wider. Feel the little fighter in me swinging like a spider, singing, rain, rain, go away. Won't you come another day? Let the sun come out and play. But I don't play, not in the rays of light, spinning webs so white through the darks of the night. I'm pulling my ears back tight, my almond eyes open wide. I'll pinch my flat nose 10 times over till it looks just right. To all my haters, you already know how this goes. She goes into a dance break, which is representative of a Mean Girls cheerleading dance formation. P-E-R-F-E-C-T, that's me, hee hee. P-E-R-F-E-C-T, that's me, hee hee. P-E-R-F-E-C-T, not you, that's me. P-E-R-F-E-C-T, that's me. You want to be perfect? Too perfect, you can never be fat. Not that, do you want to be famous? Why not? Want to be outrageous? Contagious. You gotta wake up, suck it up, tuck your belly up. You gotta smile so white and keep the body tight. If you wanna make it far, you gotta get through many scars, 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 scars. Get out of the sun. So in this motif, she's high on the morphine from all the surgeries, and it's like a dizzy spell. So she's like, get out of the sun and into the shade, get your head in the game, rep your family name. And she gets dizzier. Get out of the sun and into the shade, get your head in the game. And then she riffs like Christina Aguilera, rep your family name. Dance break. You want to be perfect? Too perfect, you can never be fat. Not that, do you want to be famous? Oh yeah, I want to be outrageous, contagious. And pyrotechnics flow, and she's looks like Britney Spears, Filipino Britney Spears at the end of that. So that's the one number of the song. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So I see we just got 3 minutes. One of the things I'm wondering about is how much of Joseph's life experience was put into this play, and I know maybe share a little bit about that.
You know, all the characters are undercover me. They really are. I used to dream about dancing for Britney Spears when I was in my early 20s. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm 40 now. In my early 20s, I wanted, yes. Yes, I just take a lot of showers and try to eat right, but I love sugar. Anyhow, I used to want to be a backup dancer for Britney Spears, so I ate up that culture. I'm a product of pop culture. And one of the things that is my goal is to bring Filipinx culture to mainstream pop culture. So using examples like Britney Spears and TikTok and anything that you can see in mainstream media, it's in my musical. And it's designed to be like an X Factor, American Idol type of show so that I'm using those already made platforms, whether I agree with them or not, to be seen, essentially. And they all are me. I danced for Britney Spears in 2010 when she came here, so the dream came true. And it was one of the best moments of my life, but you know, this musical is even better than that, I would say. Yeah.
Great. I wanted to be a backup dancer for Usher.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I know, that never happened. I know you and I were talking a little bit before this, and I was just wondering about kind of your views on racism. I know you have a little bit of a different take on that. So putting on this play and making this play, right, you know, what were you thinking around racism, or were you thinking around racism?
Essentially, showing up and putting in the work is the fight against racism. For the first time in Rainbow Stage's 70-year history, anyone that was non-Filipino could not audition for my show. It was for the Filipinx talent. And if I couldn't find it here, it would be a person of color from an Asian country. But luckily we had an abundance of Filipinx talent that came out. And so creating that space where for the first time ever, as an artist of 26 years, I would always be fighting for that 1 or 2 spots of pepper in the cast, where we would always, my colleagues would always share in this experience that whenever we see a cast list, we're like, how many people of color are in this? Like, it's a natural reaction. And for the first time ever, it's a full Filipinx cast. And so that's my form of activism, that you're only going to watch 22 and be introduced to 90% first-time performers at Rainbow Stage that do have the talent, that have been here for years, telling their stories about their culture. Now, it's a universal story, and that's another thing that I've experienced when people say the word mabuhay. They don't even try to say it correctly. They're like, what's that musical again? Mamboomba, bubooba? Like, and it's like, it's a word, you know, and it may not be from your culture, but it's still a word worthy of being articulated in the correct way. And the word is also not only to mean long live, but it's also to welcome. And so that was the whole point of it, was to welcome Filipinos and non-Filipinos alike to a shared space where they could actually learn from each other in a joyous and a fun and entertaining arena. And I think that's where the understanding between parties come from, is that when it does come from a place of love, no matter how hard it is, and there has been incredible struggle in my career. I don't want to talk about that. That's what made me who I am now. That's what gave me the nerve to be able to execute and play in this arena where I don't have the degrees in writing or musicianship, and here I am getting this almost $1 million production produced, you know? And it's because I had a vision and a purpose to serve my community and anyone that feels underserved and not seen, laying down a blueprint essentially to say that you don't need what they're telling you that you need. You need to just trust your instincts and let your brilliance talk to you. You just need to think about a question and it'll come. And it's just, if you just address one problem after the other, you'll eventually solve enough problems to get to your goal. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I think there's certainly a theme of resilience and grit in all of the stories that we heard today. So.